This is going to be a walkthrough, an in-depth walkthrough of how to install a Baja Designs Squadron or S1, it works the same for the S1, into our flashlight housing for the Milwaukee M18 battery, DeWalt 20-volt battery, and Makita 18-volt battery. So let's get started. Just keep in mind, this is only necessary if you do not purchase the complete flashlight from us. So if you just buy the housing from us and you want to source the light from elsewhere, such as directly from Baja Designs, then you will need to do the following steps. But if you buy the complete flashlight from us, then this will already be done. So let's take all the goodies out of the box. We can get rid of this guy. Try and be as thorough as possible going through all the steps here so we can make sure we get everything down. Bolts, definitely need this. Don't need these extra bolts here. Put this stuff away here. Keep everything organized. So as you can see, we have our housing with a couple of goodies on here. We have some tools. We have our Baja Designs Squadron, our M18 battery. And so I'd say first things first, what we are going to do is cut off the weather pack connector. We will no longer be needing this guy because we will be adding these little guys on. Okay, get it? Got it? Good. Next step, we need to trim down the sleeve of this wire. And the way that I look at this is going to be sitting right here with the bracket, obviously. We want this sleeve to only go down through the handle, but not pop out into here because we're working with limited space here. So we want to get right about here. There's a few ways you can take this sleeve off. If you have one of these splice tools, it's super handy. You can just put it in here. But you got to be careful that you don't want to nick the wire. So as you can see, it's starting to cut the sleeve open. You don't want to just keep going in that exact area because you'll actually nick the wires that are inside of the sleeve, and we don't want to do that. So we can just kind of move it back this way a little bit so it's not going to touch the part that's cut open. And we can go at it again, kind of, there we go. And once it's like almost there, you can just pull it apart. And you know you did this properly if you didn't nick the wires at all. There goes your sleeve. Get that out of the way. If not, you can take a razor blade and you can cut in a circle like this. As you can see, that's another way to do it. Razor blade works well. See? There you go. There's that. Next, we're going to splice these wires, get rid of this, and then crimp on this guy. You got one, and you got two. And to save a little bit of time, oops, just got stuck to the magnet. To save a little bit of time here, I already heat shrinked one, so I got one ready to go. Same exact thing as the last one, it's just these are already heat shrinked on there. All right, next we're gonna pull this bolt out of there. And we're going to want to take this guy fits right in there. Take this, make sure you have the washer and the locking washer in there. You don't have to go crazy on this. Just make sure it's snug. Not putting too much force on it at all. Just barely snug. You'll notice the lock washer is completely flush. This bracket isn't going anywhere. And you'll notice that the bolt going through on the back side is flush. And that's really all you need to do. Next, we can pull these back clips off. I normally have a power tool that I do this with, but since this is an install video, I want to make this as realistic as possible, and most of you guys probably won't have an impact, wrench thrown around. We just want to get this backing plate off. As you can see, there's a bunch of wires in there. This is the fuse. This is the low voltage cutoff device. These little guys right here are what we're going to be plugging into. See? This is already pre-programmed with the right settings to protect your battery, which is super nice. Where's my bolts? Here we go. This is pretty simple. We're going to take one of these washers that's included, and we are going to put the bolt that is included with the light through here. This washer goes on the back side. And then the light goes in like so. Get it going. Get it almost all the way there so you can still have some wiggle room. Do the same thing on this side. I found that it's easiest for this side if you lay it down flat, and what you can do is kind of slide this washer down in there. Get the hole lined up, and then you can screw it in. If you don't have it laying down flat like this, then that washer is just going to want to, fall out. Okay, that's good to go. Now what we can do is lean this forward, put these together, slide it down through, and they're going to want to pop out through the bottom like so. You should keep a little bit of slack. Remember earlier how I said the sleeve wants to stay inside here? We cut it perfectly, and so the sleeve isn't popping out through here and taking up a bunch of room. We just want the sleeve to sit up in here, and then the wires pop out. Black is negative, so black plugs into black. White is the positive, so white plugs into red. And then what I've found the easiest way to do this, actually pull this low voltage cutoff board. And actually, first, let's test it, just to make sure we're working all right. Yep, perfect. So what we can do is now kind of stuff these wires back in front of the low voltage cutoff board. That way they are out of the way. Stuff them back down in there. Because you gotta remember, we're not working with a lot of room here. I actually need to push this wire deeper. There we go. So the wires are stuffed down in there. This corner goes over here next to the low voltage cutoff board, like so. And it kind of just sits right there. And then these wires kind of get stuffed in. And then we can fasten it back together. Oops. Just kind of hold it here till it gets snug. You don't need to go crazy on these, just make sure they're snug. They're plastic threads in here, so you don't want to crank down too much on them. Just until you see it, everything line up, all the gaps go away, and these sit flush here. There we go. And then this, the pivoting light head, you can kind of just adjust it to your liking. So what I've found is that I like to make it a little bit more snug, just a little bit. That way it doesn't want to move around at all, but I can still push down on it or push up on it and it'll stay there. So there we go. That is how we successfully install, I should say properly install, our Baja Designs Squadron into our utility flashlight housing. This also works for the Baja Designs S1, and it works for the DeWalt platform and Makita and Ridgid platform. So something to keep in mind. Thank you for watching.